love me.
All right.
Oh, brothers, do you love him?
Oh, yes, we do love him.
Do you really love Jesus?
Yes, we really love Jesus.
Tell us why you love Jesus.
This is why we love Jesus. Because he first loved me. And oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. Oh, sisters, do you love him?
Oh, yes, we do love him.
Do you really love Jesus?
Yes, we really love Jesus.
Tell us why you love Jesus.
This is why we love Jesus. Because he first loved me.
And oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. Amen.
All right. Do a few things for them, help them out a little bit, and invite them to church. It was really great. We had a good week, a lot of good things. God's always providing opportunities for us to do things, and always giving us chances to meet people and to step off that deep end and go ahead and share the love of Jesus Christ. And then sometimes it's pretty amazing to people that are bystanders and aren't even involved and don't even realize what's going on. It can be a witness to them. So it's always important to remember that we always have an opportunity. And some of the opportunities that come along are kind of surprise us when they do. Have you ever blown out a tire on your car? Or had one go flat real fast? That's kind of a scary situation we find ourselves in when it happens. It's not something we're planning for, not something we anticipate. It just kind of happens. And sometimes things in our life just happens. But you know, if you could put your car, I was doing some reading about that. If you could put your car on a piece of glass and get underneath and look at it, there's 4 spots not much bigger than your hand where your car contacts the road, and that's it. Your entire vehicle rides on them 4 little spots, and it's called a contact patch. That's how much of your car is actually touching the highway. And when one of those 4 parts fails, it affects everything else. It just messes up the whole thing. When the tire blows out, the other 3 don't go, that's okay, we got it. You know, like a dog gets a sticker, he can pick up 1 foot, he keeps right on going. But your car has a tire problem, and it messes up everything. According to the safecar.gov website, nearly 11,000 accidents a year are caused by tire failure. It's amazing when we consider how big of an impact those 4 little patches, not bigger than your hand, how big of an impact they have on things. Another thing that I was looking at and thinking about, I used to work on the railroad, and you watch the train go by. And the amount of space that holds those rail cars up, and all those tons and tons and tons of rail cars and freight is a very small patch, a very small piece. And it's held on that rail by a 1-inch flange. Just a little over an inch, like 1 inch and 1/16, is what holds it all on that rail. And they have a gauge rod, and we used to use when I was working on the railroad, that you go along and it's got a hook on each end, so you can make sure the rails have not moved too close together, because in this summer heat, that steel gets hot and it expands. And if they haven't left a big enough gap in the rails when they put them together, they'll push against each other, and they'll begin to move the rails around. And if they get too close together, guess what happens? All that weight doesn't push them back apart. That little 1-inch flange climbs up on top. And now the whole train, the entire train, 100 cars, mile long, millions and millions of pounds of steel is affected by that one little 1-inch flange that jumps up over that rail. And on April 18th of 2002 in Crescent City, Florida, 4 people were killed and more than 140 were injured when an Amtrak train derailed. That's what happened just because that one little flange jumped over the track. In September the 22nd of 1993 in Mobile, Alabama, an Amtrak train derailed and it killed 47 people and injured 103 others. These things have a huge impact. It's this very small thing, a very small aspect can have such a large impact on everything else that's connected to it. The same idea as I was reading that and thinking about these things, what was on my mind is there's things that we can that might be kind of small in our spiritual life, but they have a huge impact. They make a huge difference. On your car, when we was a kid yesterday, as a matter of fact, right down here I saw a guy doing it. When I was a kid, I had a spare tire. But I only had a tire and a tube and a hand pump. So if I had a flat, I had to jack the truck up, take the wheel off, take the tire off, put the other tire and the tube on, and then pump it up, put it back on. About an hour job, hour and a half if you have a flat. Yesterday there was some lady down here that had a flat, and she called out a tire company, a roadside tire company. He's out there with a pry bar on the side of the road changing the tire. And it brought back memories like, wow, it's amazing how much it affects how many people one little thing fails. One thing as big as your hand begins to fail, and it affects a whole bunch of other, a lot of things transpire, a lot of things happen because of that one little part. And the same way in our spiritual life. Things have a big, huge impact. What seemingly are small things that maybe we don't take a lot of care of because it doesn't seem like it's that important. Like your tires, if you take real good care of your tires and you keep an eye on them, and they have age dates on them now they didn't used to that I know of, but they can tell you how old your tires are. Well, the tire's 5 years old. It might look good, but it's beyond its life, especially here in Arizona. And so if we take real good care of things, we kind of make sure we do the best we can to make sure those things don't happen. If you do just like I was a kid, when I was a kid, if it looked like a tire and it would fit my truck and it had tread in it, it was a good tire. And it might last a mile, it might last 100 miles. It didn't really matter to me. It was going to last me however long it lasted, and I was going to make sure I got the last wear out of it. I wasn't going to give it away until it was done. But nowadays, that's not a good plan to live by anyway. But we take care of our tire. We look at it and make sure to the best of our ability, we make sure we try to avoid these situations. The same way with the railroad track crews. You see all that equipment, they're there to make sure that train rail and the track stays where it's supposed to be, and if it gets out of place, it gets fixed so they don't have trains off the track. They do maintenance on it. They take care of it. Well, we have to take care of these aspects of our spiritual life the same way. It has to become something that's important and something that we recognize as important so that we can begin to take care of it so we don't find ourselves in those compromising situations. And the one thing that I was thinking of this last week, let's go to Matthew 17. I think something that maybe in the back of our minds is there, and we think about it, we know it's there, and maybe we use it once in a while, but we don't really think about it as often as we do use it, and how often it can get us in a place of a compromising situation. But Jesus says in Matthew 17, and now what has happened here is the disciples were trying to cast the demon out of this fella, and they couldn't get it done. They had tried, and they'd done all they know how to do, and they couldn't get it done. And so Jesus comes along and says, man, you guys ain't never going to get it. And so Jesus casts the devil out of that guy, and the disciples go, how come we couldn't do it? And this is Jesus' answer. Matthew 17 and 20. And Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you, if you have faith as a mustard seed. Now we read that. That's a very popular scripture. We've all heard it, and we all know the stories about it. We're going to read the other parable about it later. But think about that for a minute. How much effort do I put into working on my faith? You use your faith every day, whether you realize it or not. When you come in here and you go to sit down in that chair, you don't wonder if it's going to fall down. You trust it. You don't come in and begin to panic. So, I don't know what chair, I'm just panicked because you don't know what chair to sit down. You trust they're all going to be here, and they all hold you up, and you can sit down and you don't worry about it. You're trusting it. You have faith in it. You have faith in your vehicle. You park it out in the parking lot, and you can leave it there, and you don't have to look at it. You have to pay no attention to it. You can ignore it, and you can go out there and you can push the little button, and it'll open the door, and you get it, and it'll go, and it's going to drive you home, and you have faith in that. You're exercising your faith without even thinking about it. We exercise our faith on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a daily basis. Okay, the deposit is going to be made the way it's supposed to, and I'm going to be able to pay my bills the way I'm supposed to. I don't panic about it. I have faith in it. It happens all the time. You're using your faith every day, all day, in all different kinds of situations. You go to the cupboard, you grab a glass of water, you go to the faucet. You have faith that when you turn it on, water's going to come out. You don't panic beforehand. But see, when it comes to our spiritual life, when it comes to things of God, where we have to trust God on a real personal level, then we begin to panic. Well, I don't know what God's doing. I'm just going to pray and see what God does. What kind of faith is that? When it comes to using the faith the way we really need to use it, when it comes important, all of a sudden we're not trusting it anymore. It'd be like you just drive around on car tires and you never look at them. You never look at them. You always used to go all the time. Okay, we're going to go on a trip. Are these tires going to make it? Now all of a sudden it becomes important, and now we begin to focus on it. Well, our faith needs to be something that we focus on every day. Because the Bible tells us if we have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you can say to that mountain, remove it. Well, a little bit of faith will move a lot of mountains in your life. A little bit of faith can have a huge impact on the rest of your spiritual life. But you have to begin to use it. You have to begin to recognize it. And you have to begin to know how to use it. Begin to trust it. Just like you trust that chair. And you know, I prayed and I gave that to the Lord, and I know He's in charge, and I know all things happen the way He wants them to happen, and I can rejoice in whatever happens. You know, this morning when we was praying before we practice worship, Everett mentioned all the people that are experiencing all that rain down in Texas. We look at those things and they're catastrophes and they're bad, and there's a lot of rain and a lot of things happening, and we need to pray for those people that they would have strength and they would trust their faith. Because God's not surprised. God didn't wake up this morning, turn on the news and go, oh, there's a hurricane down there? It's not surprising to Him. He does things all through our lives and all through people's lives to build our faith, to make us stronger, to teach us how to trust Him in everything that happens. Jess and I now, we kind of make light of it and kind of get a giggle out of it now and then, because as I told Mary and Gary yesterday, we were having breakfast and I said, we make a plan for our day in the morning, and in the evening time we sit down and we laugh about how our plan was, what our plan was, and what God did. Because we take off in the morning, we have a plan, we're going to do this, and before we even get the first thing done, God begins to redirect. And it used to be frustrating. It used to be aggravating. Oh, I wasn't planning on doing that today. I need to get this done. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm going to let God do what God wants to do. If this begins to happen, we'll just follow it. Because we prayed this morning and we trust God. And we walk in that faith that whatever happens, that's how it happens. He knows what He's doing. And in that faith, and in exercising that faith, it gets stronger and it gets stronger to the point that when something goes wrong, you actually you sit down and laugh about it. Wow, that's amazing. Look what God is going. God can turn. Remember that little song by old James Bailey that was writing? God can turn His problem into something good. We have to trust that He will first. We have to believe that if I have faith as a grain of mustard seed, this mountain is going to move. I'm going to trust God, and God is going to reveal Himself to me through my faith, not through my hope that I hope He does something. Well, if we're operating in fear, we don't have any faith. We have to begin to trust our faith just like you trust that chair, just like you trust your car, just like you trust that water faucet. I prayed, and I know God is in control, and whatever happens, I know that He's in control of it somehow, somewhere, some way down the line. This is going to be beneficial for me. But see, things in our life don't look that way. Things when a train jumps the railroad track, all of a sudden, faith went out the window and panic kicks in. And when something in our life derails and gets off track, faith goes out the window and panic kicks in. How am I going to fix this? Well, you're probably not, if you try to do it by yourself. How am I going to get through this one? Well, you're probably not if you don't have any faith, because the Bible doesn't say faith is a grain of mustard seed in the cupboard that you never use will help you a lot. We have to begin to exercise it, begin to trust it, begin to walk in it on a daily basis. No matter what happens, no matter how it happens, no matter how my life gets rearranged in the course of one day.
Amen.
God tells us, He doesn't say, He says, don't even think about tomorrow. Take no thought of tomorrow. Right now, the present time, where are you at? What are you doing? A lady that called on Tuesday, their prayer meeting, had some problems, and she couldn't lock her front door. Somebody kicked her front door in sometime back, and she just got back to her house, and the front door she couldn't lock. There was just a lot of issues going on, and so we thought, well, we'll go out there and see how much we can do, and I got okay from the board to go ahead and replace the door if I needed to replace the door, and that was the plan. Like I said, I had the day planned. I got up that morning where there was some furniture back here. The doc got his office remodeled, and they had a bunch of old furniture they needed to get rid of, and she asked if we wanted. I said, no, but I will bring my trailer and take it down to the Goodwill for you. So that was the plan. I was going to go out, look at that door, pick up the furniture, take it to the Goodwill, drop furniture off, get a door, come back, put the door in. The day was planned. That was real fun making those plans. We need to start writing them down so we can make little jokes out of them as we go along the way. So we go out to look at the door and measure the door. Well, all of a sudden, the door is not a normal door. It's a mobile home, so the door isn't an actual normal door size that you can just go buy. And the way it's built and the way it's constructed, it's not something that you can just go pick up. You kind of have to build it back. Well, I had everything I needed at home to do that. So, okay, well, we'll go get the furniture, and then we get here and somebody already stole it all.
They took it to Goodwill.
All but 3 little pieces, and I thought, well, there's no point in making a whole trip for that. So we go back home, drop the trailer off, get the trailer, go out, fix the door, or get the lumber and go out and fix the door. But see, you can get so frustrated in all of that. Oh, I wanted to change the whole door, and I know we got